Roguelikes are like life. You have a go at something, you get on a good roll, but eventually there's something you stumble over and you will fail. But failure can be a good thing because you can learn something from it and you can improve yourself and make sure that in your next run you will get much farther than before. And this is what happened to me. 4 years ago was the last video I made. And why did I stop? Well, I was depressed and I lost motivation. And my attitude towards most things was that it would be too hard or that it would cause me pain. The best way I could describe it is I kinda just procrastinated my life. But finally, with support from my family, I landed a pretty good temporary summer job. And from there I was on a roll. I started going to an MMA class and I actually got pretty good at that and I got into the best shape of my life. And I started making some new friends there and I decided to try to reconnect with some old friends. And in like half of those instances it worked out really great and I still talk to them regularly. But then, boom! COVID-19. I couldn't get the job again that year and I couldn't go to MMA again. And during a sparring match I get knocked out. Damn, that was a pretty big L to take. So how do I get back up and get on a good roll with all the shit that's going on? Well, I built a home gym so that I can stay active and I somehow managed to get a girlfriend when no one's allowed to go out. And it's a pretty beneficial relationship since it's the main way for me to buy upgrades. All jokes aside, I probably wouldn't be making videos again if it wasn't for my girlfriend. She's the one who encouraged me to start doing it again. But anyway, after 4 years of collecting upgrades, I'm ready for another run on YouTube. But why am I talking about my life in a video about Skul the Hero Slayer? Well, both the game and my life are an exercise in fucking up and trying to recover, and a sheer unwillingness to give up. 2, I start numbering the reasons, and 3, it's my first video after 4 years, and 5, making a video game, playing Skul, and looking at my old videos, I just started thinking about my life and how it's got up to this point. So, let me tell you about Skul the Hero Slayer. Skul is a roguelike, which means dying is integral to the game, in that you can only upgrade yourself after you die. It's a pretty simple game to get into gameplay wise. The X, Y, A, B or square, triangle, cross and circle buttons have the standard stuff, which are attack, interact, jump and dash respectively. And before I move on, I want to mention that in all likelihood you'll want to play with a controller. In my opinion, the controls are terrible for mouse and keyboard. Looking at the PC controls, they kinda remind me of the old Congregate days, which I never really liked in terms of the controls. Personally, I always want to move the character with my left hand and do attacks and whatever with my right. And now back to what you can do. The advanced stuff starts to appear when you move to the trigger buttons. That's where you have these special abilities, like the basic Skul guy. He can throw his skull, which does a small amount of damage, but you can teleport to his skull. The damage? Fucking meaningless. Being able to teleport? That's a game changer.
お前はもう死んでいる。何？もうは匠でギゼブ。
And speaking of skulls, that's a mechanic in this game, and also where some RNG comes in. Throughout the game you can find skulls, which when taken will allow you to play as a different character. And with the RNG you can get a character that's really not that useful, or they serve a pretty unique playstyle or purpose, but you probably prefer to get a character that is good in most situations. You can also get legendary skulls like the Grim Reaper, and I've gotten a few of them at this point, and most of them do really good damage and have awesome abilities, but they have obvious weaknesses like big hitboxes and lack of mobility. And sometimes you get these crazy abilities that just decimate everything on screen. Like with a rider, you get on a motorcycle and you just commit vehicular homicide on everything. But that brings me to a small issue I have with the game. Sometimes there's just so much going on the screen at any given time that you barely know what's going on. But when I'm facing 5 different enemy types at the same time, it can be hard to keep track of all of them. Plus, a priest can throw the sun at you from the corner of your screen. So you also have to consider the enemies that you barely see. So my main strategy for the game has mainly been to jump and dash a lot and to not even let the enemy get an attack off. Ranged enemies first and then prioritize the special melees. The story. Obviously, this game stands apart from most other games because in this one you play as the monster killing humans. And the devs did a pretty good job at making Skul the good guy. The humans just did a massive unprovoked attack and decimated the monsters. And now there's pretty much just Skul and a few others left. And the important ones that are left are Skul, the witch, some kind of wolf, Chokal, and somewhere the Demon King. When you enter a new level for the first time, you will get this cutscene that's telling some story that happened in the past. And I won't go into detail about it, but I usually always skip stuff like this. But I stuck around for these cutscenes. I like them, and I like the voiceover. It's good.
마치 용사라도 된 것 마냥 꼴불견인 모습을 하고 있었답니다. 보잘것없는 망토에 나뭇가지. 용사놀이였을까요? 처음 보는 소년의 논란처였지만 마왕님은 아는 얼굴인 듯 했어요.
And now, for a quick summary of what Skul, the character you play as in the game, is trying to do. It boils down to just rescuing the Demon King. Like the other monsters you find in cages throughout the game, somewhere the Demon King is in a cage and you are on a mission to break him out. And on this mission you have 3 resources: bones, coins and dark quartz. You use bones to upgrade the skulls you get. So the skull gets better abilities and I think it gets more damage. Maybe it becomes a little tougher. I don't really know for sure at this point. Coins are used to buy items or health at this little shopping place you will come across in every run. You can also exchange a skull for another in the shop. Dark quartz is probably the best resource because you use it to buy permanent upgrades from the witch. There are also items called quintessences which can give you an ability and good stats. You have health, but you don't have mana, you just have cooldowns for your various abilities. And you don't really have a reliable way of getting health back besides buying food at the shopping place, maybe a few health items, and sometimes enemies do drop little health orbs, but they don't heal a lot so you can't be reckless. Because if you show up at a boss fight with 40 health, you are going to lose. Most of the attacks in this game happen pretty fast. You can absolutely react, but you have to be pretty quick. And some boss attacks happen so fast you have about a split second to react. So in my experience, you need some throwaway health in order to get through the bosses. But there is probably some no-hit runner on YouTube already proving me wrong. The music. Dude, if you have to study, then throw on Fallen Demon Castle. Just shed your mortal coil and hit Nirvana. The song just instantly takes my stress away. Forest of Harmony is upbeat nonsense that I love, and it fills me with childlike joy. Look, I don't want to talk about every song, but the soundtrack is really good, and honestly sounds like something that could be coming from an epic fantasy movie. I feel like at this point you probably know enough about what this game is, and now it's time for a little of my opinion. I first played this in early access, and to put how I felt about it then on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say about 5 to a 5.5 out of 10. But since playing after release, I liked it much more, moving to a 7 out of 10. They added a lot of stuff to keep it interesting, like these little jumping shrooms, and a boss I fought in early access got a second phase in release. The reason my scoring is 7 is that for a higher score like an 8, I feel like I would need to want to play this game for hours on end. But I don't. I play a run or two and then I need a break from it. I spent a run going through level 1 and then most of 2 and then die somewhere in level 2. I'm kinda not that excited to play level 1 again. I mean, at a certain point you blow through level 1 really fast, but if I keep doing it again and again, I'm just not excited and I'm going through the motions and I'm not having fun anymore. So I play 2 to 3 runs and then I take a break to recharge the excitement battery. And then I get back up to find the Demon King. And that's what I recommend you do. So grab a couple hours out of your day, kick your feet up on the table, summon your controller, and play Skul, the Hero Slayer.